Welcome to True Crime Pulse. It was a quiet morning in Chelmsford, England, when neighbors heard shouting coming from Jack Seppel's apartment. The commotion stopped as abruptly as it began, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. Hours later, police arrived to uncover a scene that would shock even seasoned officers. Inside, they found 19-year-old Ashley Wadsworth, a Canadian who had traveled to be with Jack, the man she thought she could trust and love. What had gone so tragically wrong? How did Ashley find herself in such a devastating situation? As the story unraveled, it revealed a chilling tale of love, control, and obsession. Ashley Wadsworth was born on July 25, 2002, in Vernon, British Columbia, Canada. She grew up as the younger daughter of Kenneth and Christy Wadsworth in a close-knit family of over 50 relatives, all living within the same community. After her parents' divorce, her father remarried and had 2 more children, but Ashley maintained strong bonds with her family. Known for her vibrant personality, Ashley was outgoing, friendly, and cherished by those who knew her. She loved outdoor activities like swimming, horseback riding, and skiing, and also enjoyed tennis and playing the clarinet. Her presence extended to social media, where she shared jokes, memes, and pictures, a platform that introduced her to Jack Seppel. Their virtual connection began in 2015 when Ashley was 12, and Jack, living in Essex, England, was 15. Over the years, their friendship blossomed into something deeper, despite the thousands of miles between them. Ashley's family was aware of the relationship, as she often used the family computer to chat with Jack. Over time, Jack became a constant figure in Ashley's life, sending her gifts and messages that only strengthened her feelings for him. However, Jack's behavior raised red flags. Known for his charm and unpredictability, he displayed controlling tendencies that concerned Ashley's family. He monitored her interactions, sent excessive messages after arguments, and even tattooed her name on his arm. Still, Ashley remained captivated by him. By the age of 16, she dreamed of meeting him in person, though her family's concerns delayed those plans. As Ashley grew older and gained financial independence, she began saving for her dream trip. On November 12, 2021, at 19 years old, she boarded a plane to the United Kingdom on a 6-month tourist visa. It was her first international trip, a bold and exciting adventure to finally meet Jack and celebrate her birthday. Despite her family's worries, Ashley's optimism and determination led her to take this life-changing step. According to those close to her, Ashley traveled to the United Kingdom with hopes of building a life with Jack and potentially continuing her education there. The pair met in person for the first time on November 13, 2021, at London Gatwick Airport. Overjoyed by the encounter, Ashley updated her profile picture that same day to a photo of them together. At 22 years old, Jack appeared significantly older than Ashley, whose cheerful and youthful energy at 19 contrasted with his heavily tattooed appearance, including facial ink. During her visit, Ashley stayed with Jack in his small apartment in a public housing complex in northwest Chelmsford. Although the area had a questionable reputation, the couple spent time exploring the more pleasant parts of the city. Initially, Jack seemed like the loving and attentive partner Ashley had grown to care for online. He showered her with compliments and eagerly posed for romantic selfies. However, Jack's mood was volatile, occasionally escalating into cruel behavior. Despite this, the two were inseparable during Ashley's visit. With her tourist visa preventing her from working and Jack relying on social assistance and occasional support from his mother, Tracy, their days together revolved around each other. Ashley frequently shared cheerful social media posts showcasing their time together, even highlighting their adoption of a puppy named Winston, which added to the image of happiness they projected. But as weeks passed, Jack's demeanor began to change. He became withdrawn, preferring to stay home smoking cannabis and playing video games, leaving Ashley, an outdoor enthusiast, feeling isolated. His controlling behavior also intensified as he discouraged her from interacting with neighbors and restricted her activities. Before her trip, Ashley had been connected with American missionaries through a friend from her church. While she was eager to meet them, Jack forbade her from attending church services. Determined, Ashley maintained secret contact with the missionaries through text messages, carefully deleting conversations to avoid Jack's anger. The missionaries quickly noticed Jack's controlling and potentially abusive tendencies. Ashley confided in them, admitting that she knew she deserved better but was focused on keeping Jack happy. The abuse soon escalated beyond emotional manipulation. About 6 weeks after her arrival, Jack texted his mother, admitting he had struck Ashley in a jealous rage after discovering she had blocked 2 British numbers years earlier. Despite the turmoil, Ashley continued to present an image of happiness online while privately documenting her bruises on a hidden account. She also confided in her sister Haley, but warned her not to inform their mother, fearing that her family would come to despise Jack. In late December 2021, the situation worsened when Jack attempted suicide by overdosing on anxiety medication, adding another layer of instability to their troubled relationship. After Jack's suicide attempt, Ashley called an ambulance, and he was treated at the hospital. Following this, she was designated as Jack's caregiver, entrusted with administering his medication safely using a lockbox provided by a nurse. When Haley accidentally informed their mother of the situation, she pleaded with Ashley to return home. However, Ashley remained adamant, believing that Jack could improve. In early January 2022, another violent incident occurred when Jack smashed a beer glass over Ashley's head. Distraught, she video-called Haley while Jack forced her to clean up the broken glass. Haley could see Jack pacing and shouting in the background, begging her sister to leave. But despite Haley's pleas, Ashley stayed. On January 9th, Jack celebrated his 23rd birthday, surrounded by family and Ashley, acting as if nothing had happened. Shortly after, Jack's mother and stepfather arranged a family trip to Rye, a quiet coastal town, in hopes that the change of scenery might ease tensions. Photos from the trip portrayed a facade of harmony, offering Ashley's parents a brief sense of reassurance, unaware of the ongoing abuse. However, this fragile peace didn't last. By late January, Jack's temper erupted again. During an argument, he physically assaulted Ashley, throwing a candle and a television remote at her while she was on a video call with Haley. Once again, Haley begged Ashley to come home. Initially, Ashley agreed, but she soon changed her mind, clinging to the hope that the charming boy she once knew still existed beneath Jack's violent outbursts. Ashley prayed that time, love, or his medication might heal him. Despite occasional moments of guilt where Jack would apologize profusely, the toxic cycle continued. He accused Ashley of disloyalty, lashed out in anger, and later sought forgiveness. By February 1st, 2022, tensions reached a breaking point. That morning, Jack accused Ashley of sneaking off to meet others behind his back and demanded access to her phone and social media accounts. Around 8 a.m., a neighbor overheard Ashley screaming through the shared wall. Shortly after, Ashley appeared at her neighbor's door, barefoot, crying, and bleeding from a cut on her hand. She explained that Jack had flown into a rage after finding a photo of a naked woman on her phone, mistakenly believing it was someone she knew. He verbally abused her, smashed her phone, and even threw their puppy Winston against the wall. Although terrified, Ashley begged her neighbor not to call the police. Reluctantly, the neighbor agreed but urged Ashley to accompany her to a medical appointment to avoid returning to Jack's apartment. Ashley refused, so the neighbor confronted Jack directly. Jack appeared calm and apologized, convincing the neighbor to leave for her appointment. Around 9 a.m., another neighbor, Lucy, brought Jack a misdelivered package. Jack barely opened the door, which Lucy found strange but dismissed as typical of his withdrawn behavior. Meanwhile, Ashley used Jack's phone to call her family. It was midnight in Vernon, and by this point, her mother had learned of Jack's abuse after Haley could no longer keep it a secret. Ashley's family, alarmed by the escalating danger she was facing, immediately arranged for her to return home, booking a flight for February 3rd. Determined to leave the nightmare behind, Ashley informed Jack of her decision. He reluctantly agreed to take her for a COVID test and drive her to the airport, but his demeanor remained tense and unpredictable. Her mother, deeply concerned for her safety, urged Ashley to leave the apartment at the first sign of violence and go directly to the airport. She also issued a stern warning to Jack, letting him know that any harm to Ashley would result in immediate police involvement. As the family worked tirelessly to coordinate Ashley's return, her sister Haley reached out to Jack's mother in a desperate attempt to enlist her help. However, Jack's mother, preparing to leave for a trip, stated that she was unable to intervene. Before ending the call, she expressed her own fears, not for Ashley, but for Jack, suggesting he might harm himself after Ashley's departure. On the morning of February 1st, Ashley managed to have a long 3-hour call with her family, pouring out her emotions and detailing her plans to finally leave Jack and return to Canada. Her family tried to reassure her, offering words of comfort and hope that she would soon be safe. Yet just minutes after the call ended, the situation took a harrowing turn. At 11 a.m., Jack messaged his mother, admitting to yet another violent outburst. He claimed to have thrown Ashley to the ground during an argument, potentially fracturing her arm. This confession was met with silence, as his mother chose not to respond. Meanwhile, Ashley, trapped and frightened, attempted to reach out for help. Using Jack's phone, she sent several urgent messages to her family and friends in Vernon, pleading for someone to respond. She also messaged her church friends in Chelmsford, describing her situation as an emergency and begging for their intervention. Tragically, due to the time difference, none of her messages were seen in time. As the hours passed, Ashley's desperation grew, but her cries for help went unanswered. Sometime between 12:38 and 12:45 p.m., Jack's simmering anger boiled over into unimaginable violence. In a fit of rage, he attacked Ashley, strangling her until she stopped breathing. As if this weren't horrific enough, Jack retrieved a knife from the kitchen and stabbed Ashley over 90 times in the chest and abdomen, ending her young life in the most brutal way imaginable. Meanwhile, Ashley's family woke up in Vernon to find a series of desperate messages from her. Concerned, they contacted a friend of Ashley's in Chelmsford. He went to Jack's apartment. After receiving no response at the door, he called the police and left. It was around 4 p.m. At the same time, Ashley's best friend in Vernon noticed her social media account was active and messaged her in panic. However, it was Jack who responded, pretending to be Ashley. He claimed she no longer needed help, as everything was fine. Jack ignored subsequent messages from Ashley's family and friends, who were growing increasingly frantic. Finally, Jack called his sister Nadia and confessed to killing Ashley. He even showed her Ashley's body during the call. At 4:13 p.m., the police entered Jack's apartment, responding to the earlier call from Ashley's friend. What they found inside was the horrific culmination of a tragic and abusive relationship. In Vernon, Ashley's family was frantically trying to contact her. After reading her desperate messages for help and receiving no further response, Haley was convinced the worst had happened. In tears, she called her father and told him she was certain Jack had taken Ashley's life. Kenneth contacted Canadian authorities, expressing grave concern for his daughter's safety in England. Soon after, British authorities delivered the heartbreaking confirmation. Ashley had been tragically killed. Jack was immediately arrested at the scene, his clothes soaked in blood. He confessed to the murder, attributing his actions to a psychotic episode he claimed to have experienced in that moment. Following his arrest, Jack was transferred to Chelmsford Prison, where he awaited his trial, which was set for September 7, 2022, at Chelmsford Crown Court. Toxicology reports revealed that Jack had traces of cannabis and therapeutic levels of his anti-anxiety medication in his system at the time of the crime. Despite these findings, psychiatric evaluations declared him fit to stand trial. The overwhelming evidence against Jack included a video he recorded in which he admitted to the crime, leaving little room for doubt. In court, Jack pleaded guilty, and the judge told him that given the severity of his actions, there was only one possible sentence: life imprisonment. Jack was remanded in custody while awaiting his sentencing, which was scheduled for October 10th, to allow Ashley's family to attend virtually. However, Ashley's parents chose to travel to Essex to be present in person. During the sentencing hearing, the prosecutor revealed the shocking details of Jack's criminal past, leaving Ashley's parents horrified as they learned of the man who had taken their daughter's life. Jack's criminal history stretched back to 2014, when, at just 15 years old, he had taken explicit photos of a girl he had met online. After the girl ended their relationship, Jack retaliated by hacking into her social media accounts and posting the photos, which led to a restraining order against him. Jack violated the restraining order just a month later, continuing to contact the girl online. In the same year, he also physically assaulted his mother during a heated argument about his Xbox, pushing her to the ground and tearing a door of its hinges. By March, Jack had breached the restraining order again by sending the victim another social media request. When the order expired in 2017, Jack contacted the girl within 6 minutes, using similar coercive tactics to those he later used on Ashley. In one message, he ominously told her that she could never get rid of him, even if it meant he had to go to prison. As Jack's behavior escalated, he served time in juvenile detention in 2018 after cutting his arm and damaging a door when his mother called paramedics. A restraining order was issued to protect his mother, but Jack breached it later that year. In September 2018, he broke into an assisted living facility and was sentenced to 21 days in prison. By 2020, he was accused of false imprisonment, assault, and coercive behavior after locking a woman in his home. Although the charges were dropped due to the victim's absence at trial, a restraining order was imposed. That same year, Jack's violent behavior escalated again when another relationship ended after he became violent, choking the woman and locking her inside his home. She managed to escape, but no charges were filed. Ashley's parents were horrified as they learned the full extent of Jack's violent past, a history they had never been told about. During the sentencing hearing, the court reviewed a letter Jack had written to Ashley's family from prison, expressing remorse for his actions. In the letter, which was addressed to Ashley's mother and sister, Jack acknowledged that nothing he could say or do would ever bring Ashley back or lessen their pain. He claimed that his mental health had deteriorated, leading to intrusive thoughts that ultimately influenced his actions, though he admitted this was no excuse for what he had done. Despite his plea for forgiveness, the judge, considering Jack's long history of violence and his guilty plea, sentenced him to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 23 years. While Ashley's parents left the courtroom knowing that justice had been served, they carried with them the weight of their profound loss. On October 12th, Ashley's family, including her stepmother and a close friend, as well as Julie Taylor, a campaigner who had lost her own teenage grandson, Liam, to a stabbing, gathered for a vigil in Ashley's honor. Together, they walked from Brownings Avenue to the site where Ashley had spent her final days. There they laid wreaths and placed roses on the doorstep, marking the tragic end of Ashley's life. Ashley's mother took a quiet moment at the site to reflect on her daughter's loss, mourning the future that had been stolen from her. After Jack's sentencing, several neighbors, some of whom had attended the trial, came forward to offer their support to Ashley's family. Thanks to the generosity of hundreds who contributed to a crowdfunding campaign, Ashley's remains were brought back to Canada, where she was buried, with the ceremony streamed online, allowing more people to join in the mourning. Any remaining funds after funeral expenses were donated to a scholarship foundation and a domestic violence support organization. At the service, speakers reflected on Ashley's vibrant, adventurous nature, her deep connection with the outdoors, and her infectious sense of humor. A year after the tragedy, Ashley's sister, Haley, shared in an interview that she felt Ashley had sent them signs from beyond. The family had noticed strange occurrences, such as doors opening and closing on their own, and lights flickering without explanation. After the trial, Ashley's father expressed his frustration about the lack of accessible information regarding Jack's violent past. Despite searching his name online before Ashley's trip, they found nothing that raised red flags. He questioned when a person's right to privacy should be overridden, especially in cases involving repeated violence. In the UK, there is a domestic abuse disclosure scheme known as Clare's Law, named after a victim who was killed by a partner with a history of stalking and threats. The law allows individuals to request information about someone's criminal background and grants police the authority to disclose that information when appropriate. However, the process can be slow, and disclosure is not guaranteed. Ashley's mother regretted not knowing about this law, believing she could have submitted a request to British authorities before her daughter's trip. Domestic abuse is a worldwide issue, affecting women of all ages, backgrounds, and social statuses. According to the UK organization Women's Aid, a woman is killed by a male partner or ex-partner every 4 days, on average, in England and Wales. Despite several warning signs in Ashley and Jack's relationship, she chose to overlook them and travel to meet him. It's natural to ask why someone like Ashley would ignore these red flags. Women's Aid explains that many victims stay in abusive relationships for various reasons, often believing their partner's apologies and promises of change. Once the abuse starts in an established relationship, it becomes incredibly difficult for the victim to leave. For Ashley, despite everything, she believed Jack had a good heart. She held on to the hope that her love could help him change. Tragically, by the time she realized she was wrong and began to distance herself, it was already too late. Thank you for listening to True Crime Pulse. Share your thoughts on the story, like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, stay safe.